G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of On Supercoach. Today we will review round 6 and discuss some trade plans for this week. It was a pretty good week for me, scored 2,245, up 4,380 ranks into top 4.5 grand, which was really good. I avoided a lot of the carnage with these low on-field scores, so that was really good, and I had the captaincy on Nick Dacos, so that's why my score was good. There are a lot of problems with my team, which we'll get into it, but it is what it is. And I'm just going to try and play a smart trade game and deal with them as I can. So let's get into it. We'll start in defense. So Zorko was, he was virtually unsighted in the first half and then disappeared in the last quarter as well. So he had a massive quarter in the third, but yeah, this trading's been an absolute disaster. Considering I could have got Sinclair. Now, you'd think the Saints and the Suns are a good matchup for Zorko, but I thought that the Tigers, the Dogs, and Collingwood were a good matchup for him, so it is what it is. I think Collingwood isn't going to be the greatest matchup when they're playing that well and in that manner. So it is what it is. The 70 is pretty frustrating though. Like, couldn't have at least got me an 80 Dane. That's what I get, I guess, for trading in a 36-year-old. So it is what it is. And then Bailey Dale needed to cash in on this matchup and just didn't, was nowhere to be seen in the first half and junked it up massively in the second half when the game was over, so got no points for scaling, hence why the score is so low. If he switched his halves around, he probably goes 120. So yeah, really frustrating that one, but it is what it is. And then Matt Roberts. I think there's a massive lesson this year in not trading premiums, but premiums, I will say. So like Roberts, I know people want to get rid of Oliver. Short was another one. They have all gone well enough to keep. Obviously, this 119 was really good. Just played the game really well. Roberts is very efficient, so when he gets the footy, he tends to score, unless he has those clangers like he did last week. So yeah, I still am backing Roberts in at least until the bye. But yeah, very happy with Roberts. And then Tom Stewart, oh my God, how bad. I think this is the worst pick of Supercoach 2025, and a lot of it's been unlucky. Like this 100 could have been more because he had a large stint on the bench with a neck knock. And then we get a knee injury and subbed on 9 in round 2, misses round 3, comes back for round 4, has a good score against an insipid Melbourne, and then Gastro in round 5, and then the Hawks in round 6, and he dishes that up 64. Oh, just so painful. And the pick was so good in theory, but I think a lot of people didn't like it because of A, injury risk, which obviously they were right about that, and then B, the age regression. And I think we're starting to see the age regression where he's just not hungry for the footy anymore. He doesn't need to be that distributor out of defence. They like Guthrie a lot, although I do think Guthrie's not a great decision maker. But that's for the coach to decide. And Humphries as well, who is a good decision maker. So does kind of make sense. It does suck, but it is what it is. I can't deal with this problem this week. I think I can deal with it next week, but I would not be advocating for trading in Tom Stewart. He was disinterested today, couldn't judge the footy, probably left at least 10 points, maybe 15 on the table by just running under the footy and just misjudging it completely. He had a couple of occasions where he did that, and then, yeah, as I said, just no hunger for the footy, so wouldn't be touching Tom. And then Riley Bice was serviceable. I'm taking 79s all the way through to the bye if I can. So very happy with this. And then we'll talk defender rookies. So I could have lost rookie roulette here worse with Trainer on field. Now, it wouldn't have counted for me, obviously, but it would. For some, there was like Trainer, Reed, Murray's, Lindsay, Humphrey. Like there was a heap of bad, Cleary as well. Heap of bad scores this week. So losing this like this and then having the Power Pepper 106 on the bench, it's not the end of the world for me. But yeah, this is frustrating. I mean, Pryor and Reed's just a coin flip every week. This week, for some reason, he wasn't involved in the transitions through the backline, Reed, and Pryor was. I think against Port when Reed went off, Melbourne when Reed went off, it was the reverse. So it just is what it is. And then Luke Trainer as the sub, coaches managing players as a sub is so frustrating. We saw it with Gross as well. I'll speak about why I didn't reverse this trade sec, but True. Like, we're in round 6. Surely we don't need to be managing guys with the sub vest in round 6. So, yeah, I don't know. He's on the chopping block for me this week. Although, looking at these scores, 90, 82, 80. Maybe I should hold this. I don't think I have enough. Oh, he's a little bit cheaper than Reed. Interesting. There's a decision point to be had here. Collingwood can't be a good matchup, but then like North Sydney, Bulldogs, Richmond, you would imagine. This is going to be a game time for me. Yeah, the problem with this subbing is that Trainer's cash gen is killed. Even if he starts pumping out 80s in these games, it's 2 weeks until his cash gen's really going to kickstart, and then he's going to make a lot of money. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I'd be interested to see how people weigh up Trainer versus Reed. Trainer obviously has a more consistent scoring, 90, 82, 80, although maybe these are just soft matchups. I didn't think Fremantle or Brisbane were, but obviously. So yeah, that's an interesting decision point for this week. And yeah, Pryor was really good. He was going to be chopped this week if not for that 90, so we will hold that for Collingwood. I don't think he's going to get that projected 78, but hopefully it'll be good enough, and then we'll see how much money he has to make it. All right, into the midfield. So I did originally have Brayshaw vice captain, McRae captain. I did switch that when I was concerned that Boyd would be a laid in to Dacos captain, so I can make use. Sorry, vice captain, so I can make use of the loop. Brayshaw captain. So Brayshaw was really good. Had 2 massive stints on the bench, one due to a blood rule, and then one because the coach lost his mind. Pretty frustrating, but we take the 120. For other captainers, it's frustrating, but again, you take the 120. For me, this was a really good result. Still got a good score, but wasn't in the realm of Dacos, so that was pretty good for me. And then Nick Dacos, just, I don't know, unbelievable player. Just the team tag strategy that Brisbane had just didn't make sense to me. They were trying to deny him a lot of contested ball, but were letting him do what he wanted on the outside. I think the way to beat Collingwood is to make Nick Dacos an inside player instead of an outside player, and just missed the mark with that. And then got tagged in the second half for about 20 minutes, and he just burnt Berry, had a couple of nice contested possessions and a goal. So it was good to see him burn off the tag like that. Yeah, that was terrific. Couldn't ask for much more than that. Then Dawson, Dawson summed up this game. It was a terrible game. It was low skill, and Dawson, this is probably the most disingenuous 113 ever, but I'll take it. I am of the view that Dawson has been underscored in other weeks. I know that's not everyone's view, but that's my opinion. This is not one of those weeks, just so many clangers early. But yeah, that's how the game was, and I think that favoured Dawson in the end. There was heaps of skill errors across it the whole day and not much scoring. So yeah, probably very fortunate for that, but we'll take that. Chera 110, doing his job, very solid, very happy with that. Oliver 91. I thought Oliver was pretty good, but not a lot of kicks. Has 2 really good matchups coming up this week for Hawthorn, who I'm wondering, with no Nash and no Day, I'm wondering if this midfield matchup becomes a little bit easier. So that will be interesting. I think we'll get Huswaite as well. We'll talk about that when we come to trade. But yeah, I think Clayton Oliver, you just hold till the bye. Like, if he gives you 90 until the bye, he started at what? He started at under 450 or about 450. So if he gives you 90, he's not losing any money on his starting price. So it's fine. Keeps a rookie off field. It's not ideal, but as I said at the start of the year, the worst case scenario was Clayton Oliver giving you 90, and you didn't lose anything from that. So it makes sense to hold Clayton here. But yeah, and then Davidson I ended up holding because I had enough money to move on Nevitt and Sardis. I couldn't believe Sardis was not picked. And I actually didn't pick it up when I first looked at the team sheets. I got it about an hour before the Essendon and West Coast game, so I was pretty lucky to get onto that. And then, yeah, Davidson, 82 against St Kilda. St Kilda's like the best matchup for wings. I have a feeling this matchup at Monaco against the Giants is really bad for wings, which is why I am still going to trade Davidson this week. I know it looks like there's an easy 50k to milk out of him here, but I don't think it will eventuate, and I think getting the points on field is beneficial for me at this point. Lindsay, 55, still being managed. The break even is 14, so the cash gen will come back on. Richmond West Coast the next 2 weeks, so should score well. Clayhole dropped. I wasn't really surprised by that at the end of the day, and I think it's going to be a while before he's seen in the ones again, unfortunately. Max Hall, this is who I ended up fielding at M8. So it is what it is. I thought he would do a little bit better than this, but he has done his job. He has made his money, and I am ready to cash him in. 57, he's only making sort of, I don't know, 10k more really, so he can go. Moraes was good early, but faded out of the game. I think if not for Ollie Wines' heart issue, which we all hope is okay. We hope to see Ollie out there, not just next week, but, in the future. And, he was right in line for that sub, if not for Ollie Wines, so that was probably fortunate, although I don't think his scoring improved once Wines was subbed. If he goes 52, he's still going to make another 30k. And he's kind of not got enough money on his head to trade now. Has North next week and then the Dogs. So in theory, those should be okay matchup. Going to hold. Hope he holds his position in the side. And then, so I kept Gross because it sounded like he had a shoulder problem that was being managed this week. Now, I don't understand why, if you had a player with a shoulder problem, you wouldn't just give him a week off. But again, I'm not the coach. Here we are. Had an 11, so he came on as a sub, played about 10 minutes, and then played the last 8 or so minutes on the bench, it felt like, in this game, so it just didn't make sense. But Gross is probably the young player that is showing the most this season, the really, under 20 young player that is showing the most. I think he'll get opportunity. His cash gen is very stalled for the next couple of weeks, but I think if he just has to give us 50-55. He's going to make the money, so he will slow burn to 250k, I think, and that's fine. I just need him to get there at some point. I would like it to be sooner rather than later, but beggars can't be choosers. And then Gorn, 117. This was a monster last quarter. His first half was quite poor, and then it was a monster last quarter. I think he should have actually been scored higher than this, but it is what it is. As I said, it was a poor start to the game, but he was doing Tim English junk, and then he was marking everything in the second half, so that was great. And then TDK, I'm mildly concerned about this. Obviously, this is a tough matchup, but has Geelong this week, so it should be all right. I don't think Pitnet is going to come in if he can play this week. So it is what it is. Boyd, I think we're going to see at some point soon because Marshall looks so cooked, but I don't know if they just prefer Keeler instead of Boyd. How much is Keeler? Oh, he's already had a price raise. Okay, never mind. Horn Francis had a bunch of clangers early, but it was really good. McRae, I didn't really notice in this game. I wasn't paying full attention to this one, but yeah, I don't know. I expected better against the Dogs. I think it's Jack McRae. He'll score well in the coming weeks. Not worried about that. Petrarca butchered the ball early again, which was really frustrating because this was a game he could have cashed in on. Probably had 2 kicks going inside 50 that should have resulted in marks and goals, but he clanged them. So it is what it is. But Melbourne were a lot better this week, which tends to result in higher Petrarca scores and Melbourne have 2 good fixtures in the coming weeks. I actually don't mind Petrarca as a trading option. He just looks rusty at the moment, and he's going to play through the rust eventually. So that would be good. And then Smith, I don't think he scored a point after half time. Had a bunch of clangers, was doing some silly things, but yeah, I don't know. You're not worried about that at all. And then Daniel, I'm mildly concerned about because his defending is so bad, but I think they need a user back there. And he's the only one who's a good user out of D50 in their whole team, unless they throw McKercher back there, which I don't think they want to do. McKercher, to me, strikes me as more of a winger. So I think that's the way they should go. But yeah, Daniel, I'm concerned, won't make it to the end. But I think he'll hold for now. Then Marriage was really good. Still taking kick-ins with McGovern back. Defended a lot better this week and was better at getting junk. So that was really promising. He has Melbourne, Richmond, St Kilda in 8, 9 and 10. So he makes it through those. He's probably going to be 450k at least and with some good on-field scores. So that would be awesome. Really wrapped with this pick. Power Pepper 106, I did not field. Of course, I think the only good Power Pepper scores I have fielded are this 74 and this 83. Better than some, but it is what it is, just making so much cash. I don't think I'll be able to get him on field this week. I know, actually I will, but it's an interesting decision point for me. But yeah, I don't know. He has North this week, so I kind of want him on field. I think he'll go well again. Been an awesome rookie. Already made 150k with back-to-back 100s. So, yeah, terrific from Power Pepper. And then Cleary was very disappointing. Had no tackles. And he had like 2 or 3 handballs right at the death of it that were just clangers. So, yeah, this 30 sucks. But I think he'll hold his spot. I think they drop Hanley before him. And I think they'll give him. I'm pretty sure, if not for his off-field stuff, that he would have played round 1. So I'm willing to back him in. I'm willing to suggest that the Swans will back him in for at least 1 more week. So that'd be good. Although the break-even is a little bit damaged now. Only the negative left, but fingers crossed. And then, yeah, Levi was really good. Terrific player, Levi Ashcroft. No one's shocked by that, but yeah, he was awesome. St Kilda this week. So, yeah, very good. All right. Trades this week. So my trades are very simple. So I haven't spoken about rucks. There's 2 really good ruck options this week. The first is Tristan Cherry, who seems to be fit again. If you have Flynn R2, I would recommend not trading Flynn. We'll talk about him in a second. But I would recommend upgrading to Cherry if you didn't have Rosie. So Rosie's my number 1 trade target this week. That is who I'm going to be bringing in. I'll discuss that in a second. But I really like Cherry if you already have Rosie and you don't have Cherry. The next one in the ruck this week is Matt Flynn. Now, Flynn went 140 on, it was mostly Draper. Really unfortunate if you traded Draper in, by the way, and obviously to Sam himself with that Achilles injury. Hope he's okay, and I hope the club gives him a chance in the off-season as well, because I know he's an unrestricted free agent. But yeah, I'm sure he'll get an option. Yeah, Flynn was really good. I think Meek's a relatively decent matchup for rucks, and then he has Richmond St Kilda before. I mean, Rob's restrictive. I don't know how easy it is to score on Gawn at the moment, and then a soft matchup here against Geelong. So I think Flynn will make very quick cash, and I am concerned about the cash chain going forward, so I want to take this opportunity to get him now. Now, I can get Rosie and Flynn this week, so I get 2 rookies off the field, which is another big reason for this. It gets another rookie off the field, which is why I'm going to do that. And then the only downgrade option I really like this week is Matt Carroll, who used the ball well in defence of Carlton, but it is worth noting he has had 2 extremely Mickey Mouse matchups, and he's coming into a couple of tough ones before St Kilda, which should be okay. So, fingers crossed. He should make some quick money anyway. Let's get into what I'm doing. So, what I had loaded up before was, and I'll explain why I'm doing it. So, Carol, Flynn, oh, so let's talk about these. So, Trainer, I'm not sure, as I said before, if I'll get rid of him over Reed. I need to do some assessing of that, if you like. I will likely make that decision on Thursday, about 10 minutes before the bounce, so I apologise for that. I can't give you much guidance on who is better to trade. I think cashing in either of them is fine. But the problem is with Trainer, we don't know that he's going to come back and keep producing those scores. So if he reverts to averaging 55, then he's pretty much already made his cash. You want to cash him in now. But if he keeps going 80, he's got a heap of money to make still. So there's an element of risk with this, and I'm willing to accept that. Davidson 82 in the system. I'm concerned. Davidson has a great ceiling, but also a poor floor. And one of these floor games will kill his cash gen anyway. So I want to cash him in here. I don't realistically think he's going to give. I think there's another 50k to be made here, but I don't want to risk just stalling. And I want to use his cash to get the points on the field now, because I think I have a little bit of an advantage with getting rookies off the field, as in I have less than most, which is very advantageous. Then Maxwell's pretty self-explanatory. He's cashed up. So you could hold, but there's not many rookies to cash in at the moment. And Carroll, I think he's the only really rookie on the bubble this week. So you sort of got to go him. Flynn, as I said, I'm concerned about cash gen going forward. We'll talk about that in a second. But I want to take this opportunity to get a good cash maker whilst I can. He's also elevated price. So when he makes You know, if he makes 100k, he's already at 360. I don't have to find a heap to upgrade him versus someone at 110 who makes 150 to 260. And then Rosie, I think this might sound insane, but I think he's D2, provided he holds this role. So if anyone's been watching since the preseason, I had no interest in Rosie in the midfield role because I knew Butters would come back for one. Now, obviously, Butters came back and he looks mighty good. Shout out to Butters and Bont, just absolutely destroying it on return, which is great to see. Two terrific players. Not sure how we get them in, but I'm not in any rush to move those guys in. But Rosie off halfback, he has the game for it. He's quick. He got attention this game as well from Jordan. He just burnt him in the first half, so they moved Jordan away from him. He's quick. He's good overhead, and he takes intercept marks. He's a good user, and he's kicking goals. Like, I don't know if there's the only one I think who I'm confident will outscore. Actually, there's two I'm confident will outscore him from here. Sinclair and Whitfield. I have plans for them, but I'll discuss that later. And yeah, Rosie, I don't know. He's just tailor-made for that halfback role, I reckon. I think even if Wines, for example, is out, I don't think Rosie moves back into there full time. It sounded like he spent no time training in the midfield at training this week. And from what I gathered from a Jason Horne-Francis post-game interview is that he will be in the back line probably for the season. He's a ripper-off halfback, so I really like it. I think it's improved Port's overall balance. So, yeah, and they're winning games, so they're not going to move him anytime soon. So I'm locking these in. As I said, I really like Cherry as an upgrade option and Petrarca. They're probably 2 and 3. If you have cash, you could go Dacos. He's probably not going to be much cheaper for a while. But it is a lot to pay for someone. I haven't paid $610 for anyone this year. I think the only person I started who was worth more than that was Gorn, because I didn't like Brux. It's a lot to pay for someone, and it can go wrong. Like, I think there are people who traded in Butters and traded in Bont last week. Like, far out, that's brave. Like, there's so much that can go wrong, those types of trade-ins, and obviously they're rewarding those people at the moment, but yeah, it's very risky, very risky. So this might sound insane. Ooh. If Cleary's, I would get the option. That would be very interesting. So I don't know who I want to field out of Cal Pepper and Ashcroft. I'm sort of leaning towards Cal Pepper because he has North. But knowing me fielding Cal Pepper, he will stink it up if I do that. So I think this is how I'm going to line up on the bench. Game time decision with whoever I'm fielding up here. Captains. I think I've got to go Big Max this week against Richmond. And then I'm tossing up between Dacos, Brayshaw, TDK. Oh, TDK. Captain score is going to make a huge difference this week, I can already tell. I need to get two good ones. Let's go like this. Durham concerns me for Dacos. Setterfield has no chance against him, but I am a little bit concerned about Durham. The other rookie I should talk about is Elijah Hewitt, who was excellent in the second half for West Coast. He's only 180. As is 22 in the system, but it rolls out next week. I don't really see him going much more than 60. And he's already, like, that would mean he has 110 to make. I think I can get more out of Carroll and Flynn, which is why I'm not going there, but I couldn't fault you for going Hewitt. Okay, so I'm going to line up like this for now, but I'll probably change this midweek. I don't know, there's some big scores. Like, all the projecteds are high. Yeah, so that's how I am thinking this week will go for me. Next, I'm down to 1 boost, but I'm not. You want to be using the boost now, so that's why I'm okay with that. Because I'm concerned about cash, I want to have a look at break even. So Tunstall's the only one this next week who I think is pickable. McDonald won't hold that role. Jackson's back either this week. On that. Yeah, I'm not picking deep forward. Okay. So, the only one next week is Tunstall. The reason I don't like Tunstall is I think he's got terrible job security. I think he's a massive sub risk. He had a great game this week, so he survived the best. If he goes well again next week, he's probably going to be hard to pass up with Gold Coast and North because his break even is going to be so low. But yeah, we've seen him before. There's a lot of sub games in here. He's massive sub risk. They dropped Reveal, who I think they would generally prefer, but I don't know. He's the only one I'm watching next week. So, assuming I don't want Tunstall, there's no way I can upgrade next week. I think even if I do want Tunstall, I can't upgrade. So, I don't really have money. So at the moment, Stewart and Dale are giving me headaches in defense. So I'd kind of like to move one of them on. Moving Dale on helps my round 5 buy, but his floor's not been that bad. Obviously 68, but that is terrible ground, so I'll give him a mulligan for that one. But Stewart, this pick is doing my head in. I don't know. I have to give it a week anyway, so I'll reassess this week. But talk about players who are coming down. Break even. So the big one is Jack Sinclair, who is $605,000 with a break even of 180. So if he hits his 132 projected, he's going to be 580. I am very, very interested in that. And you don't have to go next week either. You go the week after. So yeah, I'm very interested in that. If he goes 120, 120, he's probably going to be about 565. But then he goes CG. Maybe I'll look at him in round 11. But West Coast, I don't know what Carlton have been like against defenders this year. So, yeah, I don't know. But I will not look at him this week or next. But the week after, I'm very, very interested in Jack Sinclair. The next one, don't go anywhere near Luke Ryan this year. Dunkley's quite cheap. So the mids that I like the look of at the moment that are cheap are Dunkley, and I think Tom Green is still relatively cheap. I'm going to talk about Whitfield. Okay, Green's break even 110. He's 575. Probably don't want to pay that for Tom Green. So I'm very interested in Sinclair, Tom Green, Dunkley. Where is Max home? Where are you, Maximus? I mean, he didn't go that well today. Oh, he went well last week, though. I could just search. Break even really under. I think I went past him. Oh, it's 88. He's 530. Ooh. Yeah, I like Holmes. The thing that concerns me about Holmes is the hamstring issues. My goodness, they have a good run at. Wow, they leave Melbourne once after round 13. Jeez. Or I probably want Holmes for that. Very. Okay, Holmes is. I'm intrigued by Holmes. I wasn't interested in Holmes at the start of the year, but I don't know. He just gets it done. Just gets it done. So yeah, Holmes is another one that I like a lot. So the targets for me this week: Rosie's 1, Sherry is 2, Petrarca is 3, Holmes is 4. The other ones I'm interested in are Dunkley, who's probably 5 for this week. Break even at 157, though you can wait a week. I don't know why he's scoring so bad. He's only sort of had one game. I don't know. I've generally been of the belief that Dunkley doesn't score well when it's hot. Obviously, it was hot this game and in this game, but it's West Coast. So I don't know. I think I want to wait a little bit on Dunkley. That probably sounds insane, but I would suggest the statistics are there to back it up. Oh, Dorco's 445. Yeah, Zorko's going to get cheap. I don't even know if he wants Zorko at this point. The problem is Zorko, so before I traded Zorko in, he was the only guy getting the ball in D50. They've instead, to fit Ashcroft in better, they've rolled Fletcher back to half back and Ashcroft onto the wing. So now Fletcher's getting a lot of ball, he's getting kick-ins, and just a lot of rebound ball. So Zorko's lost all of that, which is why this is frustrating. Obviously, he's 36. They're going to want to manage him a bit so it makes sense. But it's frustrating. Very frustrating. Unfortunate if you went Briggs this week. Terrible, terrible luck. Okay, so the other one I wanted to speak about, I've gotten very distracted. I'm sorry, I've lost my train. The other one I wanted to speak about is Lockie Whitfield. Now, I think this guy's clear D1, which wouldn't surprise anyone. He's just been spanking it recently, except for, again, a game on the terrible ground. He's probably averaging 130 if not for this. So, yeah. I considered starting Whitfield, so that's kind of... But the reason I didn't start him, I don't know what his history is like at Manu. I have a feeling Manuka's not great for him, but he has SCG, James Jordan, and Geelong GMHBA. These have to be the worst grounds for Whitfield. I can't imagine that it gets worse for him. He wants the big grounds with open wings and pockets so that he can run around and hunt the ball and it's not really hunting, I guess, but he spreads to make field position and he wants the ground wide so he can get inside, also get the ball back inside, if you know what I'm saying. So these two grounds are going to be problematic for Whitfield. He's also going to have a Jordan tag this game, I would expect. So I'm hoping after these games, I can look at Lockie Whitfield for round 10 or 11. That's my Whitfield plan. I think the cheapest he is going to be all season, unless he gets one of these. Oh, by the way, I owned Whitfield very early. I'm going to rant here. Where did I trade Whitfield in last year? I think I traded him here. Now, obviously, that wasn't the most insane trading ever because he was flying. But he got a knock in this game, and a knock in this game, knock in this game, tag in this game. So, and he just played poorly. It's the most frustrating thing watching one of your players who Whitfield's not it's not soft tissue injury prone. It's mostly luck, but he seems to get knocks all the time, and then he just doesn't get them, and he just canes you, absolutely canes you. It's frustrating because Stewart's doing the opposite. But yeah, it is what it is. So that's my plan for Whitfield. Just get him in after the Geelong game. And then hopefully my defence will have 4 players in here with Whitfield and Sinclair by that point. The other one I'm very interested in is Sicily, who had an absolute shocker of a day in the first half, but was then really good in the second half and then thrown forward. I don't understand this. He pretty much got them back in the game in the third quarter with his use off half back. Had a horrible marking game, I will say, but yeah, and then he just got thrown forward. So I really need... Oh, dude, he's got West. How much forward time does he play? I don't know. I don't understand why Hawthorn doesn't just say, all right, Sam, we don't have a position for you. I'm talking about Sam Frost here. We don't have a position for you in the team. Just make a contest inside forward 50 and up the ground, and we'll play. Because clearly they can't rely on Chol to do it for a whole game. That would be unfair. And they don't have anyone else. It's not Gunson's role. They don't have anyone else who can really do it. But Sicily's not a particularly good forward. He doesn't lead. He does generally create a contest, which is good, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of the goals he's kicking are pretty fortunate as well. They're out the back, kick over the head, and he's just had good body position, which I guess is part of the skill. But I don't view Sicily as a forward, but I have massive interest in getting Sicily at some point. I don't have to get him this week. Sorry. Anyway. Yeah, Sicily I'm very interested in. So that might be where I send Stewart because he's of similar price. I think Deer was listed as 1 week on the injury list this week. I expect he'll play a little bit of VFL footy before coming back. But then, yeah, then it's prime Sicily time after that. So, yeah, that's interesting. Maybe I actually trade Stewart. 79. I mean, if he goes 100, surely he drops the 5K, gets the 485, and Stewart goes 120, and I can punt him after that. That's a bad play. It might come from Dale. I don't know. I got decisions to make there, but yeah, that was the round this week. Let me know how you went. Let me know if I missed anything. Feel free to ask questions in the comments, by the way. I try and respond to all comments. So if you are seeking a second opinion on any of your moves, feel free to let me know. I will respond. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you next week. Bye, guys.